Do-hyun Lee had been staring at the computer screen for so long that his eyes hurt. The numbers didn't make sense, but they were real. As chief science officer at the Jupiter Research Station, he had seen many strange things, but nothing like this. "Run the test again," he said to his team. His voice was calm, even though his heart was beating fast. The research station floated silently in space, with Jupiter's giant red spot visible through the main window. Inside the testing chamber, their experimental device hummed quietly. It looked simple, just a metal ring with many wires and sensors attached to it. Young Mei, his best engineer, pressed the button to start the test again. "Starting test number 47, she said, her fingers moving quickly across the control panel. "Power levels are normal. Beginning countdown." The whole team watched as the metal ring began to spin, first slowly, then faster and faster. Blue lights flickered around it, growing brighter with each second. "Energy levels rising," reported Sunwoo from his station. "Reaching critical point in 5, 4, 3, 2. There was a flash of light that made everyone close their eyes. When they opened them again, the small probe they had placed inside the ring was gone, just like the last 46 times. "Check the receiving station," Do-hyun ordered. The receiving station was near Saturn, more than 650 million kilometers away. After a few seconds of tense waiting, a message appeared on their screens. Do-hyun read it out loud. "Probe arrived safely. Time of arrival, 0.3 seconds after launch." The room went completely quiet. They had done it. They had really done it. "It's faster than light," Young Mei whispered. "We actually did it." Do-hyun nodded slowly. Their device had sent the probe to Saturn in less than a second. Light would have taken nearly an hour to travel that far. They had broken the universe's speed limit, but not in the way anyone had expected. Other scientists had tried to find ways around the light speed barrier for years. They had worked on fancy ideas about bending space or finding shortcuts through other dimensions. But Do-hyun's team had tried something different, something that most people had called crazy. They had made tiny black holes. Very tiny and very controlled, but still black holes. Their device created these black holes for just a fraction of a second, using them to punch through space itself. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. "Send the data to Earth Control," Do-hyun said. He sat down heavily in his chair, suddenly feeling very tired. They need to see this. As his team sent the test results to Earth, Do-hyun thought about what this meant. Humans had found a way to travel faster than light, but they had done it by making one of the most dangerous things in the universe, black holes. Even if they were incredibly small and lasted for less than a second, they were still black holes. The computer beeped, showing a message from Earth Control. They wanted a video call right away. Do-hyun pressed the accept button, and the serious face of Director Jin appeared on the screen. "Is this data correct?" the director asked without saying hello. "Yes, sir," Do-hyun replied. "We've run the test 47 times. The results are always the same. We can send objects faster than light." The director was quiet for a moment. "You do understand what this means, don't you? The Galactic Council will not be happy about this. Creating artificial black holes. They'll say it's too dangerous." Do-hyun nodded. He knew the alien species in the Galactic Council would be shocked. They liked their technology to be safe and clean. This was neither. "But it works," Do-hyun said simply. "And it's the fastest method of FTL travel ever created." The director sighed. "Prepare a full report. I'll inform the council tomorrow." He paused. "And Do-hyun, good work. Even if they don't like how we did it, no one can deny that humanity has just changed everything." As the call ended, Do-hyun looked out at Jupiter again. Somewhere out there, the aliens were using their safe, slow FTL drives. Soon they would learn that humans had found a new way. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. Sometimes that was the most human thing of all. Ambassador Jae-yun Park stood at the entrance of the Galactic Council chamber, Her hands were steady, but her heart was beating fast. Today, she had to explain humanity's new faster-than-light technology to the Council. She knew they would not like it. The chamber was huge, with tall crystal walls that reached up into darkness. Representatives from 50 different alien species sat in rising circles, like a giant theater. Their faces showed many different colors and shapes, but they all wore the same expression: worry. Hae-Nul Kim, the leader of the Stellar Confederation, stood up. His blue-tinted skin seemed to glow under the chamber lights. "The Council recognizes Earth's ambassador," he said in a formal voice. "Please explain why humans are creating black holes in space." Jia-Yun walked to the center of the chamber. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. She carried a small device that would show the Council how the human FTL drive worked. "Honorable Council members," she began, "humanity has found a new way to travel faster than light. Yes, we use controlled micro-black holes, but they are completely safe." The chamber filled with worried whispers. A representative from the science division, Tai-Young, spoke up. "Safe. Black holes destroy everything they touch. They'd break the laws of physics. How can this be safe?" Jia-Yun turned on her device. A hologram appeared, showing the human FTL drive in action. "Our black holes are very small and exist for less than a second," she explained. "They make a temporary tunnel through space. Think of it like making a shortcut by briefly folding a piece of paper." "But you are not folding paper," Hae-Nul said. His voice was stern. "You are folding reality itself. This is dangerous." Jia-Yun nodded. "Yes, it might seem dangerous, but we have tested it hundreds of times. Our method is faster than any current FTL drive. A journey that takes your ships 1 month takes our ships 1 day." This caused more whispers, but different this time. Some council members looked interested instead of scared. Jia-Yun continued, "Humanity has always found unusual solutions to problems. Sometimes these solutions look dangerous or strange, but they work." An older council member stood up. His name was Minho, and he was known for being wise. "Ambassador Park," he said slowly, "your species has been part of this council for only 30 years. In that time, you have surprised us many times. But this is beyond surprising. This is frightening." "I understand your fear," Jia-Yun replied. "But consider this. Every new technology seems frightening at first. When the first ships broke the sound barrier on Earth, people thought it would break the sky. When the first atomic power plants were built, people thought they would explode. But we learned to use these technologies safely." The council chamber grew quiet. Jia-Yun could see them thinking about her words. Hae-Nul spoke again, but his voice was less harsh now. "What guarantees can Earth provide that these micro-black holes will not grow larger? That they will not damage space itself?" Jia-Yun pressed another button on her device. New images appeared, showing all the safety systems of the human FTL drive. "We have built many safety features," she explained. "The black holes can only exist for exactly 0.3 seconds. They can only be a certain size. If anything goes wrong, the whole system shuts down immediately." Minho nodded slowly. "Perhaps," he said, "we should send observers to study this technology. If it is truly as safe as you claim, and as fast." He left the sentence unfinished, but Jia-Yun could see hope in his eyes. "Earth welcomes any observers the Council wishes to send," she said. "We believe that sharing knowledge makes everyone stronger. Yes, our method is unusual, but sometimes the best solutions are the ones that seem impossible at first." As the Council began to discuss among themselves, Jia-Yun stood quietly in the center. She had done what she could. Now it was up to the Council to decide if they could accept humanity's strange new way of traveling through space. Sometimes, she thought, being different wasn't a bad thing. Sometimes it was exactly what the galaxy needed. Dr. Sang-Min Choi checked all the systems one last time. Today was important. His team would show their FTL drive to the alien scientists. The observation room was full of visitors from the Galactic Council, led by Chief Observer Taiyum Kang. "All systems are ready," Sang-min announced. He stood in the control room of the test ship, which floated near Mars. "We will now demonstrate a jump to Neptune." Through the video link, he could see Taiyung's face turn a lighter shade of blue. This was a sign of worry in his species. "You intend to create a black hole, right here?" Taiyung asked. His voice shook slightly. "A very small one," Sang-min replied calmly. "It will last for less than 1 second." He turned to his crew. "Start the power sequence." The ship's engines hummed to life. In the center of the ship, the FTL ring began to spin. Blue energy crackled around it, growing brighter and brighter. The alien scientists watched with a mixture of fear and fascination. "Power at 50%, reported engineer Jinnah from her station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. "Ring spin is stable, beginning quantum field generation." The alien observers moved closer to their protective screens. Some of them held strange devices that measured things humans didn't even have names for. They all pointed their instruments at the spinning ring. "Power at 75%, Jinnah called out. "Preparing for micro-singularity formation." Taiyung stepped forward. "Our reading shows space-time distortions beginning to form," he said. His voice was filled with worry. "This is highly irregular. The fabric of reality should not bend this way." Sang-min smiled slightly. "Sometimes the fabric needs a little push," he said. "Power at 90%. Preparing for jump." The ring spun faster now, almost too fast to see. The blue energy had turned white-hot. The alien scientists' instruments were making loud warning sounds, but Sang-min's crew remained calm. They had done this hundreds of times. "Power at maximum," Jinnah announced. "Initiating jump in 3, 2, 1. There was a flash of light so bright that even the protective screens turned dark for a moment. When everyone could see again, the spaceship was gone. The alien scientists rushed to check their instruments. "Impossible," one of them shouted. "The readings show." The ship created a temporary black hole and went through it. Taiyung was studying his own readings carefully. "The black hole was perfectly controlled," he said, sounding surprised. "It collapsed exactly when it was supposed to." "But where is the ship?" As if answering his question, a message appeared on the main screen. "Jump successful. We have arrived at Neptune. Transit time, 0.3 seconds." The observation room went quiet. Then another flash lit up their screens. The ship had returned, appearing exactly where it had started. The entire round trip to Neptune and back had taken less than a minute. Sang-min's face appeared on the video link again. "As you can see," he said, "our method is safe and extremely fast. The micro-black holes are completely controlled. We can travel farther in minutes than your ships can travel in weeks." Taiyung looked at his readings again. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. "Humans," he said, shaking his head. "You take the most dangerous thing in the universe and turn it into a transportation system. It's crazy, but it works perfectly." The other scientists gathered around Taiyung, looking at his readings. Their faces showed different emotions: surprise, worry, and growing respect. They had come expecting to see something dangerous and unstable. Instead, they had seen something that worked better than their own FTL drives. "Perhaps," Taiyung said slowly, "we have been too quick to judge human methods. Your solution may not be elegant, but the results are impressive." Sang-min smiled. Today had gone well. The aliens were beginning to understand that sometimes the best solution was the one that seemed crazy at first. That was a very human lesson. Captain Min Ji-yoon was about to eat dinner when the emergency alert sounded. She ran to the bridge of her ship, the Star Jumper still holding her spoon. The message on the main screen made her forget about food completely. "Emergency signal from Colony 7, her communications officer reported. "They're in danger. A solar storm is heading toward their planet." Min Ji read the details quickly. Colony 7 was one of the farthest human settlements, near the edge of known space. The colony had 5,000 people. The solar storm would hit them in 3 days. Standard evacuation ships would take 5 days to reach them. How long would it take us to reach them? Minji asked, though she already knew the answer. Her ship had the new FTL drive. Using continuous jumps, we could get there in 12 hours, replied Navigator Hawan. He paused before adding, "But Captain, we've never made so many jumps in a row before. The drive might not handle it." Minji stood up straight. "Send a message to command. Tell them we're going." She looked around at her crew. "This is volunteer only. The jumps will be dangerous. Anyone who wants to stay behind can transfer to the station." Nobody moved. Her crew looked at her with determination in their eyes. They all knew the risks of using the FTL drive so many times, but they also knew that 5,000 lives were at stake. The ship's engineer, Sun Ho Park, spoke up from his station. "The drive can handle it," he said firmly. "I'll make sure of it. We just need to let it cool between jumps." Minji nodded. "Send our course to command. We leave in 30 minutes." The next half hour was busy. The crew checked every system twice. They loaded extra supplies for the colonists. Sun Ho worked on the FTL drive, making sure it was perfect. Just before they left, a message came from the Galactic Council. Minji read it with a frown. "They say this is too dangerous. They want us to wait for their ships." "Their ships would arrive too late," Hawan said quietly. "Exactly." Minji sat in her captain's chair. "Are we ready?" The crew nodded. Sun Ho's voice came over the speaker. "FTL drive is charged, ready for first jump." Minji took a deep breath. "Let's go save our people." Begin jump sequence. The familiar hum of the FTL drive filled the ship. Blue energy glowed around them. There was a flash of light, and the stars changed position. Their first jump was complete. "Drive temperature rising," Sun Ho reported. 2 minutes until we can jump again." Over the next few hours, they repeated this process. Jump, cool down, jump again. Each time, the drive got a little hotter. Each time, Sun Ho worked a little harder to keep it stable. After the 10th jump, warning lights started flashing. "Drive temperature critical," Sun Ho called out. "We need a longer cooling period." But then another message came from Colony 7. The solar storm was moving faster than expected. They had less time than they thought. Minja looked at her crew. They were tired, but their faces showed no fear. "How many more jumps to reach the colony?" she asked. 4 more, Hawan answered. Minji pressed the ship-wide communication button. "Listen, everyone. We need to make 4 more jumps faster than is safe. I won't lie. This is dangerous. But there are 5,000 people counting on us. Are you with me?" The answer came back from every part of the ship. "Yes, Captain." Minji smiled. This was why she loved her crew. They knew the risks, but they would take them to save others. That was the human way. "Prepare for emergency jump sequence," she ordered. "Let's show the galaxy what this ship can really do." Sun Ho Park's hands moved quickly over the FTL drive controls. Warning lights flashed red around him. The drive was running hotter than it ever had before. Each jump made it worse, but they couldn't stop now. "Drive temperature at dangerous levels," he reported to Captain Minji. "The cooling systems are working at maximum power." The Star Jumper had already made 12 jumps. They needed to make 3 more to reach Colony 7. The ship's metal walls creaked from the stress of repeated jumps. "How long until we can jump again?" Minji asked. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed her worry. Sun Ho checked his readings. 1 minute. "But Captain, the drive wasn't designed for this many fast jumps. The black holes are becoming harder to control." On the bridge, Navigator Hawan called out. "Message from Colony 7. The solar storm is getting stronger. They've moved everyone into the underground shelters, but the radiation will reach dangerous levels in 10 hours. Minji stood up from her captain's chair. Can we make it in time? Yes, Sunho said firmly, but we'll have to push the drive beyond its safe limits. The captain walked to the engine room. The crew watched her go, knowing she never asked them to take risks she wouldn't take herself. When she reached Sunho's station, she put her hand on his shoulder. What do you need? She asked simply. Sunho thought for a moment. If we redirect power from life support to the cooling systems, we might be able to make the jumps faster. We'll have less air and heat, but the drive will be more stable. Do it, Minji ordered. She pressed the ship-wide communication button. All crew, prepare for reduced life support. Put on emergency suits if you need them. The crew worked quickly to make the changes. The ship grew colder, and the air became thinner, but no one complained. They all knew what was at stake. Drive ready for jump 13, Sunho announced. His breath made small clouds in the cold air. Minji returned to the bridge. Begin jump sequence. The FTL drive hummed to life again. The familiar blue energy appeared, but this time it had streaks of red in it. The ship shuddered as the micro-black hole formed. Jump in 3, 2, 1. There was a flash of light, stronger than usual. When it faded, they were in a new part of space, but something was different this time. The black hole. Sunho shouted. It's not closing as fast as it should. For 3 terrifying seconds, the black hole stayed open behind them. The ship's sensors screamed warnings. Then, finally, it collapsed. Damage report, Minji called out. Hull integrity at 80%, reported the safety officer. The black hole pulled harder than usual, but we're still working. Sunho's voice shook slightly. The drive is still running. But these readings, Captain, I've never seen them like this before. Minji looked at her crew. They were cold, tired, and scared, but they were also determined. 2 more jumps, she said. Can we do it? Sunho looked at his controls. The warnings were clear. The safe thing would be to stop, to wait for help. But 5,000 colonists were counting on them. Yes, he said. We can do it. It won't be pretty, but we can do it. Minji smiled. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to work. She turned to her crew. Prepare for jump 14. Let's finish this. The star jumper hummed back to life, ready for another impossible jump. They were pushing the laws of physics further than ever before. But that's what humans did best. They found ways to do the impossible when lives were at stake. The star jumper appeared near Colony 7 in a flash of bright light. The ship's hull was hot from the final jump, and warning signals were going off everywhere. But they had made it. Colony 7 in visual range, Navigator HFY announced. His voice was tired but happy. We arrived just in time. Through the main window, they could see the colony planet. It looked peaceful, but their sensors showed the dangerous solar storm approaching. The colony's shields were already starting to fail. Captain Minji wasted no time. Send the evacuation signal, she ordered. Tell them to prepare for immediate departure. The colony responded quickly. They had been ready, waiting in their underground shelters. Transport ships started flying from the surface to the star jumper. Each one carried 50 people. Sunho worked in the engine room, trying to fix the damaged FTL drive. The last 2 jumps had pushed it far beyond its limits. Parts of the machinery were melted, and the cooling systems were barely working. How long until we can jump again? Minji asked through the communication system. Sunho looked at his damaged equipment. The drive needs major repairs, but I can get it working for 1 more series of jumps. It won't be safe, but it will work. Do what you can, Minji replied. We need to get these people to safety. Hours passed as the colony evacuated. The Star Jumper's crew helped everyone find space on the ship. They were designed to hold a crew of 200, but today they would carry over 5,000. Solar storm approaching faster than expected. HFY reported. We have 30 minutes before it hits." Just then, several ships appeared at the edge of the system. They were Galactic Council vessels, arriving too late to help with the evacuation. Their captain, Himucho, sent a message to the Star Jumper. "Human vessel," he said, his voice formal. "We are here to assist. But we detect severe damage to your ship. You should transfer the colonists to our vessels." Minjai looked at her crew. They were exhausted, but they all shook their heads. They had come this far together. They would finish this together. "Thank you for the offer," Minji replied, "but we can handle it. Our FTL drive can get these people to safety before the storm hits. Your ships would take too long." The alien captain seemed worried. "Your drive is damaged. Using it again could be catastrophic." "Sometimes," Minji said, "we have to take risks to save lives." She turned to Sunho. "Is the drive ready?" "Ready enough," he answered. "It's not pretty, but it will work." The last transport ship docked with the Star Jumper. All 5,000 colonists were aboard. The solar storm was visible now, a wall of deadly radiation approaching the planet. "All hands prepare for emergency jump," Minji announced. "Colonists, secure yourselves. This will be rough." The damaged FTL drive hummed to life one more time. The sound was different now, rougher and louder, but it still worked. "Jump in 3, 2, 1. The largest micro-black hole they had ever created formed in front of the ship. The Star Jumper, carrying thousands of saved lives, disappeared into it just as the solar storm reached the planet. They appeared near Earth several seconds later. The ship was damaged, the drive was destroyed, but everyone was alive. Messages started coming in from everywhere: Earth Control, the Galactic Council, other ships. Everyone wanted to know how they had done it, how they had saved so many people with a damaged ship and a dangerous drive. Minja looked at her tired crew and smiled. "We did it the human way," she said simply. "We found a solution and made it work." Dr. Eugene Kim stood before the Galactic Science Council. The large room was filled with the brightest minds from 50 different species. They had all come to hear about her discovery. After studying the data from the Star Jumper's rescue mission, Eugene began, "We found something unexpected. The human FTL method is not just different, it is better." The room filled with surprised whispers. At the front of the room, Chief Scientist Jayan Lee leaned forward. His scales shimmered with interest. "Explain," he said simply. Eugene pressed a button on her device. A large hologram appeared, showing the inside of a micro-black hole. "When our ships create these temporary black holes, they don't just punch through space. They create perfect quantum tunnels." She pointed to different parts of the image. "Other FTL methods push against space, trying to bend it. Our method creates a direct path. It's like the difference between bending a piece of paper and cutting a hole through it." "But that should be impossible," said one alien scientist. "The energy requirements alone should be enormous," Eugene finished for him. "But they aren't, because we're not fighting against space. We're working with it." She changed the hologram to show new data. "The Star Jumper's damaged drive showed us this. When they pushed it beyond its limits, it revealed patterns we had never seen before." The room grew quiet as the scientists studied the data. Eugene could see understanding dawning on their faces. What had seemed crude and dangerous was actually elegant in its own way. "The rescue mission proved something else," Eugene continued. "Our method can work even when the drive is damaged. Other FTL drives fail completely if they are damaged even a little. Ours keeps working. It's not pretty, but it works." Chief Scientist Jayan stood up. "You are saying that humans accidentally discovered a fundamental principle of space travel that we all missed, because we were too focused on being elegant." Eugene nodded. "Sometimes the simple solution is the best one. We didn't try to trick space or bend it carefully. We just made a hole and went through it." The scientists began talking all at once. Some were excited, others worried. But they all understood what this meant. The universe had more secrets than they thought, and humans had found one by doing things the hard way. A young alien scientist raised her hand. But the dangers, creating black holes, are much smaller than we thought, Eugene explained. The Star Jumper showed us that even a badly damaged drive closes its black holes properly. The universe wants these holes to close. We just have to start them. She showed one final image. It was a design for a new FTL drive, one that combined human methods with alien technology. We can make this better, safer, more efficient, but only if we work together. Only if we stop being afraid of new ideas. Chief Scientist Jayan looked at the design for a long time. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. Humans, he said, shaking his head. You solve problems like no one else. You see a wall, and instead of going around it, you make a hole through it. Is that a bad thing? Eugene asked. No, he replied. Sometimes we need people who are willing to make holes in walls. Sometimes that is how we find new doors. The council chamber buzzed with energy as scientists began forming research groups. They all wanted to study this new discovery. What had started as a horrifying method of space travel had become something else, a new way of understanding the universe itself. Eugene smiled as she watched them. Humans had done it again. They have found a new path by doing things their own way. Ambassador Jayan Park stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council 1 year after the Star Jumper's historic rescue mission. Today was special. Today, humans and aliens would officially start working together on FTL technology. The hall looked different now. Where there had once been fear and doubt about human methods, there was now respect. The success of the Colony 7 rescue had changed everything. The Council recognizes Earth's ambassador, announced Hae-Nul Kim. His voice was warmer than it had been a year ago. Please present the integration agreement. Jae-yun walked to the center of the hall. Behind her stood Captain Minji and her crew from the Star Jumper, now considered heroes throughout the galaxy. Dr. Eugene Kim was there too, along with other scientists who had helped understand the human FTL method. Honorable Council, Jae-yun began. 1 year ago, we stood here defending our unusual way of traveling through space. Today, we stand here as partners in building something new. She activated the main display, showing the first ships equipped with the new combined technology. They used both human and alien methods, creating safer and faster ways to travel. The first combined technology ship completed its test flight yesterday, Jae-yun reported. It made the journey from Earth to the edge of known space in 1 day. The old methods would have taken a month. The council members nodded in approval. Many of them had helped design these new ships. Working with humans had taught them to think differently about space travel. But more important than the technology, Jae-yun continued, is what we learned about working together. Humans showed that sometimes the best solution looks strange at first, and our alien friends showed us how to make our methods safer and more efficient. Captain Minji stepped forward. The council had asked her to speak about her experience. When we made those emergency jumps to save Colony 7, she said, we didn't know we were doing something revolutionary. We just knew we had to help. Sometimes the best discoveries come from simply trying to do the right thing. Dr. Eugene spoke next, explaining how the new ships worked. We still create micro-black holes, she said, but now we control them better. We use alien quantum technology to make them more stable. The holes are smaller, but the tunnels they create are bigger. The council listened carefully. Many of them had opposed human methods at first. Now they supported them. This was how progress happened, by being willing to change your mind when new evidence appeared. Hae-Nul stood up. 1 year ago, he said, I thought humans were being reckless. Now I understand that sometimes we need people who are willing to try the impossible. The galaxy is bigger than we thought. We need new ways to explore it. Jae-yun unrolled a large document. It was the official agreement to share human FTL technology with all species in the council. In return, They would share their knowledge with Earth. With this agreement, she said, we stop being separate species trying different methods. We become one community, working together to explore the stars. One by one, the council members came forward to sign. Each signature represented a different world, a different way of thinking. But today they all agreed on one thing. The galaxy was better when everyone worked together. As the last signature was added, applause filled the Great Hall. The Star Jumpers' crew smiled. Their dangerous rescue mission had led to this moment. They had saved more than just 5,000 colonists. They had helped create a new way for all species to work together. Sometimes, Jai-Un thought, the best endings come from the strangest beginnings. And sometimes, the scariest new ideas become the most important discoveries.